I'm Elisa Parker. We're broadcasting live here from the Wild and Scenic Film Fest. It's 17th year. It's the largest environmental film festival of its kind here in the United States. Thousands of everyday environmental action heroes come to our community, like David and his son Thorn. Their film is called Big World. And if you ever thought about, like, what would it look like to take your kids just a little bit out of their comfort zone, like to Nepal? Well, Thorn and David are here to tell us all about that experience. Hi, guys.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hey, Thorn, have you been enjoying the festival?
Yes.
Yeah? So tell us about the film Big World. What did you and your dad do during spring break?
We went to Nepal and paddleboarded one of the rivers there for, we were on the river for 1 week.
1 week you paddleboarded on one paddleboard,
Yeah.
right? So you paddled it. What was the river, David, that you guys were on?
The name of it is the Bheri River, Bheri, and it's far west Nepal. It runs into the Karnali, which is a much larger river that comes down from the Tibetan Plateau.
Can you just describe to everyone, too, what the landscape is like there that you went through and experienced?
Yeah, you know, it was, so I've spent a lot of my life in Nepal, but I've never been to the far west, and it was actually, I was shocked how remote it was. Absolutely gorgeous. It was the foothills of the Himalaya, and then essentially we started in the foothills and then went down the Bheri River, connected to the Karnali, and finished where it goes into the Gangetic Plain. And so it was essentially, mountainous, but not the high mountains, but absolutely gorgeous rolling hills.
Now, I know Nepal's like your second home. So how is it, though, that you decided to choose this experience for your spring break vacation?
My motivation was to get. I've had expeditioning has been such a part of my life that a 7-year-old, I basically thought, so how can we do a true expedition that's remote, where you are self-sufficient and you're on your own, but it's not such a demanding physical activity that a 7-year-old couldn't do it. And so that's really was the motivation.
Thorn, what did you think about this when your dad first proposed to do this?
I thought he was a little bit crazy.
Little bit crazy. Okay, I could get that. But you went along with it.
Yes.
What was it like? Do you remember what it was like on your first day when you guys got out on the river? Like what that was like?
I actually thought it was one of the more fun days because I got to watch the drone that the Nepali photographer had. And that was pretty cool.
I was wondering about that, David. How did you guys do the photography on this film? Because now the cool thing about drones is you can get these great, like, wide, tall shots. But so what was that process like to capture this and capture your experience that week?
Yeah, so the plan was to just make it sort of a dad VHS handheld camera film, and that's essentially what we did once we set off on the river. So we had a Nepali professional shooter come with us, and he traveled from Kathmandu to the west of Nepal with us. He came out when we set up camp the first night and shot that. He went back to a village, and then the following morning when we launched, he came back out, shot with a drone, and then just sort of said, see ya.
Cool. So
and
you
we
guys
saw him
had
back
some
in Kathmandu.
time. Right, because that was the whole point of the experience, too, is for you guys to have some one-on-one time, too.
Yeah.
Thorn, what was, like, the craziest thing that happened to you during that trip?
It was probably going overboard on one of the bigger rapids.
So you guys went down rapids in your paddleboard.
Yes.
That must have been pretty scary.
There were one or two that were scary that we didn't walk around or flip over, but other than that, they were pretty small, so not like big whitewater rapids.
You know, one of my favorite parts, though, too, in the film, in Big World, is so you go over in the rapids and you come up and you're smiling and laughing.
That was very fun because that was the second time I went in the water, and that time I didn't expect it, so it was kind of like funny for me when I came up.
And then Thorn, you also, one of the cool parts too is, when you travel like this and you really got to connect with some other kids in Nepal. What was that experience like, and what did you guys do?
So I actually think like there's the part in the film where he says a soccer ball provides more communication than a cell phone. That actually was kind of true because, well, they played with the soccer ball at 5 a.m. in the morning, and then and we didn't have connection with this cell phone, and they didn't have any electronics, so it was kind of more of like trying to communicate but not really being able to do that.
Right, you were able to connect with just doing sports and activities in that way. It was funny in the film too. You guys are in your tent still sleeping, and the kids are up, like you said, at 5 in the morning playing soccer. They wanted to hang out with you. What did they think about you guys, David? Like paddleboarding, I kept thinking about that and watching the film. Like, here's these, two guys paddleboarding down this rural river. What did people think about that? What was your experience like with that?
I was actually surprised how remote it was there, and how few we ran into. I don't know, probably 100 people more or less during that week. About half the nights on the river we were near enough villages that kids would come over, and then half the night it was just totally solo. And we ran into one Nepali that spoke English, or two
Thorne says
that had
two.
maybe how many words of English?
One of them had like 30, and then the other guy said he used to do something in Kathmandu, like a job, so he learned English there.
Yeah, and most of the people we were with were not speaking Nepali even, although they all do. And so I have very rudimentary Nepali, so it was very limited communication. And the big concern for me, I mean, overall as like a parent, it was pretty remote. I mean, if something had happened, it would have been it was definitely a serious consideration of what
So
would
how
happen.
did you end up selecting that part to go down?
I don't. So we had another plan.
Okay.
That's why we were using a paddleboard on a river. It's not the best tool for a river.
Right.
We were going to be on.
I was like, well, that's cool. They're in a paddleboard.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we had another plan to be on a flat water river.
Okay.
But because of the heat where we were going to go, it didn't work, and so we chose this river, literally looking at Google Earth and trying to figure out what would work and how we could find a road to put in somewhere. And so that was all planned about a week before we left.
Wow. Well, the cool thing about paddleboards, I have a couple, and what I love about it is, my kids when we're on the lake, they pretty much can hang out on it all day. You can jump in, you can get wet when you get hot, you can put several people on it, so you can just like hang out and chat and talk with each other. It becomes like, talking about unplugging, which is one of the things I love about the film Big World as well, is you kind of go beyond our own, I guess, our expectations of what we can do with our kids and getting them out of their comfort zone, because we're so plugged in these days. What was that? I'm sure, David, for you, that was a big part of this too, and getting Thorne out. Because Thorne, you said one of your favorite things to do was what?
Jumping off cliffs on like the third day,
Right.
with some of the other kids.
And before,
Really
you
not
love
all
video
that.
games.
Yes.
Thorne loves his video games. Right.
Yeah, and we brought a soccer ball, and it took up a lot of space, and we kept thinking, what are we going to do? We don't have enough dry bag space. We only had 2 little dry bags for food, but we kept putting that soccer ball in, and it was the best choice we made on the whole trip.
That's cool. What do you want to say, David, to other parents about how and why it's so important to create experiences like this for our kids, for our families, and how it's changed the way you look at being a parent too?
Yeah, I think generally we have. I feel as though I'm constantly, even though I'll take a trip like this, I'm constantly watching myself as a parent and deciding that I need to take the effort that it takes to set up different types of experiences, because otherwise, just ourselves, just like anybody, we go through sort of a daily, system that's very similar day to day, and so to get out and actually make the effort, which is not all that easy, to change your environment and get into a different environment like that, I thought was, it was an incredibly rich experience for me, and I think for Thorne, looking back, it probably will be too if he doesn't realize it now.
Right. It's going to be somewhere in there, Thorne. Some point you'll look back on this, and well, I know you already do, and think how amazing and what a cool experience that you've captured this on video, so you can have that for the rest of your life. And Thorne, do you guys have any other trips planned coming up?
No, I don't think so.
Does Dad have anything up his sleeve?
Maybe, huh? A remote mountain biking trip at some point is what we've been talking about a little bit.
All right, Thorn, mountain biking. There you go. It's like, I don't know. But you know what? This whole experience I think part of the takeaway is like, you know what? Maybe I could try that. Maybe I'd enjoy it. Maybe.
Well, that was kind of the same thing I had before we went on that trip. But I was very stressed on the first day we got into Kathmandu.
Right.
But I think it turned out pretty well.
That's awesome. It's an awesome story, you guys. The film is called Big World. I loved it. I told you that I shared it with my younger daughter. It just got me thinking about other things we can do too, to go outside of our comfort zone. You can catch it at Wild and Scenic Film Fest. Many thanks to David and Thorn for being with us here at this incredible festival. I'm Elisa Parker, and we'll be back with other stories of these everyday extraordinary action heroes. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.